Hi all. I got a new tool today, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the tools I've been using, because I think it's a really good idea to garden for a couple of seasons at least before you really invest any money into the tools. So this is what I had been using to essentially broadfork my garden beds, and you'll see I've got good news. It's got it just doesn't work anymore. So but using this, I was able to determine that using something like that to loosen up compacted soil. These ravens or crows, I think they're crows, are just going crazy over here in the tree, so I hope you can hear me. Hush, I'm talking. Anyway, it was a good tool to tell me that something like this would work in our rocky clay soil. And now this year, this is our third season gardening here in this location. I went ahead and got a Treadlite broadfork. This is I think it's a 26-inch or a 24-inch. It's made when you have 30-inch beds. It came with these steel handles, which are going to be used when we are breaking up new beds. I have wooden handles also, so you can buy a combo unit, and I was able to find a discount code. If I can remember where it is, I will link it. But I was able to find a discount code, so that basically made it so I should buy the combo kit, because the wooden handles, I think, are like 4 or 5 pounds lighter than the steel handles. So these will be nice and strong when we are breaking up really compact new ground, and then I can go over these already made beds, or these existing beds, with the broadfork with the wooden handles. I could use the steel handles also on these existing beds, and today I'm going to, just because that's what I have on. But the wooden handles, since they're lighter, you know, easier for everyday use. I don't know how many of you are using your broadfork every day, but this is my whole reason, well, this is an important reason I'm broadforking. While broadforking, I just kind of lifted that worm up out of the soil there, and when I release the soil, it goes right back down where it was. So now that I actually have a pretty messed up broadfork, what I use this for now is, so I wanted 2 rows 12 inches apart. This is 12 inches, and I just kind of bend the prongs so that I can drag it along the bed, and that's where I'll plant my seeds. So I know I told you guys we had a mouse, or I thought a rat, in the greenhouse. We did catch it. It is gone. I don't know, there's probably more in there, but I'm not noticing, you know, as many things missing now as I used to. The thing just had a voracious appetite for spinach and peas. So I will be planting more peas out here today. And I can't find my other peas that I planted inside there. I'm gonna have to look back at that video and see where I put them, but I have these Lillian's Caseload, so I'm going to plant some of them. And I'm also putting beans in this bed. And my very favorite green bean, if you ever want to have very prolific and really tasty tender green beans, these Calima green beans are my favorite from Baker Creek. I got so many green beans off of these the last couple of years that I was sick of picking them. So, and this is something new that I also planted direct sowed in the greenhouse. And I don't know, the rat or the mouse, whatever it was huge, ate the edamame because it never came up. It loves seedlings. So, but if I could get things, you know, larger than just a seedling, it tended to leave it alone. I had, you know, lettuces this big in there that it left alone. I covered them for probably the first week, maybe 10 days when I had them in the greenhouse. I just set one of my humidity domes on top of the lettuces each night, which was kind of a pain in the butt, but I don't have a ton of them in there. So, but for 10 days to now have nice looking lettuce, it was worth it. The other bean, this is also a bush bean. The Calima is also a bush bean, and that's, I just think it's easier growing them that way rather than having to trellis them. It might be a little more difficult picking, but I call it green bean yoga. Anybody else? And this is a provider bean. It says it's an early productive green bean, and it's not picky about its growing environment, and it tolerates cooler soil. That was really why I picked it. It's also a pretty popular variety. I think a lot of people use it. And being in zone 3, you know, our soil is a little cooler, a little longer, so I'm gonna plant those in here. I know it's really easy to get caught up in varieties and how much of each one I should do, and I've come to the understanding that the more you plant of one variety, the better. If I just have like 6 of one type of bean and I really like it, I'm not gonna get enough of that bean. It's really better to just plant really one variety of green bean. I am not taking my own advice and doing 2 varieties, but I have, you know, over 50-foot beds that I'm planting in, so. I would say last year for the farmer's market, I probably only did a 4x4 foot area of beans. I had enough for the farmer's market. I wish I would have kept more for ourselves to can and to freeze. So if that helps you at all, we're a family of 3 now that live at home. But I wish I would have had more than that for us and the market. So if you're just planting for yourselves, a 4x4 foot spot of beans could be enough. So that is it for the Calima. Oops. And then I'm gonna do the provider in the second row. Ooh, those are really pretty. They're purple. And these also are 4 inches apart. Perfect timing getting those beans in. I didn't even have to water. Okay, now the fun stuff about beans and peas, or legumes. Have you ever heard people say that beans and peas are good for the soil, that they actually give nutrients to the soil? Well, that is something called nitrogen fixing. So beans and peas and other legumes will actually provide nitrogen in the soil. So that's part of the reason that I planted them after the beets and the carrots, so that are really heavy feeders. So last season I had beets and carrots in this bed, and this season I am going to put peas and beans. So when there's a certain bacteria in the soil, the surrounding soil, called rhizobia, I believe that's how you say it. It creates a symbiotic relationship with the legume, and the bacteria creates nodes on the roots of the bean plant so that the plant creates nitrogen in those nodes and puts that back in the soil, while also giving the bacteria now in the plant the carbohydrates or the nutrition it needs to survive. So then next year I will plant nitrogen loving veggies in that bed, which will end up to be greens and lettuces, spinaches, things like that. So that's what I know about growing green beans. It's really easy. It's another one of those veggies that tastes infinitely better out of the garden than from the grocery store. Thanks for hanging out with me in the garden today. If you're new here, we hope you'll subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.